Malcom X, born Malcolm Little on May 19, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska, grew up in a turbulent environment. His father, Earl Little, was a Baptist minister and an outspoken supporter of black nationalism, while his mother, Louise Norton Little, struggled with financial instability and racism. When Malcolm was just 6, his father was killed by a streetcar, an event Malcolm's family believed was a racially motivated murder. This loss plunged the family into further hardship. And by the time Malcolm was 12, his mother suffered a mental breakdown, leaving Malcolm and his siblings to fend for themselves. Sent to a foster home and later to a juvenile detention center, Malcolm found solace in education and began to excel academically. However, his promising path was interrupted by a troubled youth. He dropped out of school and engaged in criminal activities, eventually being sentenced to prison in 1946 for burglary. It was in prison that Malcolm's life took a pivotal turn. He was introduced to the teachings of Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, an organization that espoused black self-reliance and religious nationalism. Malcolm immersed himself in studying Islam and became a devoted follower, changing his surname to X to signify the rejection of his slave name and the unknown lineage of his ancestors. Upon his release in 1952, Malcolm X emerged as a charismatic and powerful spokesperson for the Nation of Islam. His eloquence and fervor drew national attention, and he quickly became a prominent leader within the organization. His advocacy for black empowerment and his criticism of systemic racism struck a chord with many African Americans who felt disenfranchised by the prevailing social and political order. Malcolm's public statements and activism, however, also made him a polarizing figure. He was known for his fiery rhetoric and willingness to confront racism head-on, which often brought him into conflict with both the mainstream civil rights movement and the government. Despite his controversial views, Malcolm's unyielding stance against oppression and his emphasis on self-respect resonated deeply with many. In 1964, Malcolm X made a significant personal and ideological shift. After a pilgrimage to Mecca, he experienced a profound transformation in his understanding of Islam and race relations. He discovered that Muslims of all races could coexist harmoniously, which led him to reevaluate his previous views on race. This newfound perspective prompted him to leave the Nation of Islam and form his own organization, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. As Malcolm X continued to evolve, he began advocating for broader human rights and international solidarity, moving beyond the confines of racial separatism. His speeches now reflected a more inclusive vision for social justice. However, his break from the Nation of Islam and his evolving ideology made him enemies, both within and outside the organization. On February 21, 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated while preparing to address the Organization of Afro-American Unity in New York City.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?